All right. Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of the Annual Ataxia Conference. My name is Joel Sutherland. I'm the Director of Development here at the National Ataxia Foundation, and I'm your host for this year's conference, and I'm glad to be here with you. Hope you've had a good couple of days. We've got a good day in store for you here today as well. And remember, for those who haven't had a chance or can't remember how to answer or ask a question, just go to the left side of your device, click on that little people icon. That'll open up a window on the right side, and there at the bottom, you'll see a chat box where you can submit your questions. We will ask your questions of our presenters as we can, and if we can't get to your question today, trust that we will do our very best to get an answer for you following the conference next week. If you've missed a session that you'd like to view, by all means, they are on demand. Please, if you haven't already, visit our exhibit hall. Some really good things going on there. And for those who may not have heard of this yet, we are auctioning off the Hope tie. This tie illustrates or exemplifies the hope that we have in the NAF logo. Hope for disease-modifying treatment coming soon to our ataxia community. So if you'd like to place a bid on the Hope tie, please go to joel@ataxia.org and you can submit your bid, and this tie will be awarded after the conclusion of our dance party on Saturday evening. All right, time for our first session here on day 3 of the conference, and it's living and coping with ataxia. And we have 3 speakers for you here this morning. Our first is Kelly Rutledge. Kelly is from our North Texas support group, and after several tests and MRIs, Kelly still lives with an unknown ataxia. But Kelly's been very instrumental in raising funds and raising awareness through our Walk and Roll program there in North Texas. And Kelly had a voice on our March on the Hill program last September. Kelly will be joined by Latishas Diggs. Latishas was diagnosed with SCA3 in 2016. Late last year, Latishas founded the African American with Ataxia Global Support Group. Latishas got very inspired to bring global awareness to those living with ataxia. The final presenter is Mr. Mark Dessa. Mark is a certified physical trainer with ataxia, a very rare ataxia known as ARCA1. He's working to raise awareness on a global basis as well. Mark has a tremendously robust Facebook group that helps him build awareness for ataxia. Kelly, take it away.
Hi, my name is Kelly Rutledge, and I live in Coppell, Texas, which is a suburb in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. I'm here today to share my story with you in hopes to inspire and bring some sort of peace. So maybe you'll find something that resonates with you. As a child, I was always clumsy. In fact, it was commented on quite often and jokes were made among my family and friends. However, I was determined to be perfectly normal. I was a competitive gymnast until I severely broke my arm. And after I recovered, I decided to take up dance, made my way through high school on the high school drill team, and became an officer of the 60-plus member team, which landed me with a college scholarship on a very elite collegiate dance drill team. You may have heard of the Kilgore College Rangerettes. Kilgore College is a junior college, so after 2 years, I transferred to the University of Texas at Austin, where I majored in kinesiology and graduated with a bachelor's degree with hopes of going on physical therapy school. At the ripe age of 20, I had a plan, so I thought. I decided to backpack the world, which I did, and to date, I've been to over 40 countries. My plan was to travel, come home, and go to PT school, but I got married instead. So, as I call it, life got in the way. My ataxia journey began in 2014 at 35 years old. I am an unknown case, but my doctors suspect it is hereditary. So today I'm 42, married with 3 kids, worked full-time up until this past July when this pandemic took my job, active in my church, volunteer at my children's schools, and I've dedicated my time to volunteer activities, especially the NAF. I am now completely devoted to helping find a cure for this outrageous disorder. Two of my biggest fears are having to create a different identity for myself, but also knowing that at least one of my children will most likely be stricken with this down the road. So, however, keeping a positive attitude and staying involved has given me hope in both of these areas. I often feel very isolated from my normal friends. Having to explain this disease is such a drain, but it has gotten easier as time marches on. I try and live my life the best way I know how. I try not to complain or feel sorry for myself, and all I can do is remind myself that God is in control and He has a greater plan. One of these days, I hope to figure out where I fit in this plan, but for now, I hold tight to my family, stay as active as possible, travel to accessible places, and pray. I have struggled to find my purpose, as many with ataxia can relate. This disease brings so many new emotions and physical limitations into play that discerning all of them brought out the need and desire to do something big for the ataxia community. I have asked myself many, many times what this should be. What can I do to make a positive impact? So during the NAF conference in 2019, which took place in Las Vegas, this question was answered. So as soon as I left, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I find peace and strength being involved with the NAF. I truly believe my efforts, along with the entire ataxia community, will eventually lead to a cure. We cannot be stagnant though. Some of us are in better positions to advocate for those that are not. Even the little things like talking to your neighbor or a friend at the grocery store to bring awareness is advocating. I am just so thankful we have a national foundation that supplies us with the proper tools. Acceptance of self and letting go both are a constant struggle and lesson. My mind says one thing and my body says the exact opposite, and I'm sure every single one of you guys can relate. Don't stop dreaming. Just because you have a physical disability does not make you any less of a person. God loves you regardless. When I first learned of ataxia, I had never heard of it. This is such a strange disorder, and I had no idea who to talk to. Who would understand or even listen without thinking I was absolutely bonkers? I took it upon myself to seek others that were exactly like me and going through this. So, while researching, I stumbled upon the NAF website and found a local support group. After time passed, my love for this group grew, my passion for advocacy grew, and my knowledge of ataxia grew. And now my doctors even ask me questions, which is ironic, but that's a topic for a whole other session. So to think I started out knowing nothing about ataxia and today feeling like a semi-expert on the topic is owed entirely to the North Texas Area Support Group. I have an addiction to Facebook groups which focus on ataxia. It is a daily routine to read and comment on posts. So if I'm able to offer just a one bit of advice or I don't know, suggestions to improve anyone's lives, regardless of their location, I feel like I've done my good deed for the day. So the most important thing I've learned out of all of this is to make sure I'm present for my family, for my friends, and my entire ataxia community. So together we can do this. So take it away, Letitia.
Greetings, I am Latishas Story. I have been married for 25 years. We have 4 children, 3 daughters and a son. I was genetically diagnosed in December of 2015. As a teenager, I remembered seeing a magazine called Generations addressed to my mother. Unbeknownst to me, I would someday be stricken with the same illness to join the ranks of 4th generation. I will not give it the title of a disease because this is not to kill you, but it can make other diseases that you will eventually die from. Makayo-Joseph disease, or SCA3, is the strand that runs in my family. Gaining a new vision on life, on myself and life, took me several years. My husband and 4 children would not allow me to have a full-on pity party, although I've held many private ones with the question innumerable times, why me? It was my husband who asked, why not you? After he spoke those words to me, a spark was lit. The benefits of being involved with the NAF I particularly like is that they provide a mechanism for research. Some of the research provided is with medication, and the others are cognitive studies where your abilities are measured. The NAF performs a number of fundraisers throughout the year, which translate into research dollars so that the scientists can perform. Without the NAF, we would not be heard in Congress about this rare illness called ataxia. The way that I support myself and others like me is to offer help in all types of ways. I do know how to be an excellent friend as well as a good listener. I also know how to keep a secret. I give advice when asked. All people need is a kind word. It was brought to my attention that there were others like me when I attended a meeting held by the Chesapeake chapter. I went home and got online and saw that there were many just like me, which is why the African Americans with Ataxia Facebook support group was started. The group was initially started in the DMV area. The group is now global. I overcome negative thoughts by speaking to myself. If I think I would be better off dead, I then ask myself the question, what would they do without me? Clearly, I know that they will live, but there will be such a huge void. Being kind to myself is offering myself some type of exercise or therapy, whether it be chair yoga, chair aerobics, physical, speech, occupational, psychotherapy, or my favorite, retail therapy. They are all helpful in their own respect. Just treat yourself to a manicure or pedicure, go get your hair done, make yourself presentable. That always helps. Letting go of the small stuff is to choose your battles. Not every conversation is worth having. Not every argument is worth using your breath. Choose your battles. I ask for help more now than I ever asked before. Being prideful never helps. It always hurts. I used to do a lot of things, but now I have lots of limitations and restrictions. Whenever I need to do something, I ask for help. After a broken collarbone, 5 broken toes, and 2 broken ankles, that's all it took was me to ask for help on a consistent basis. So I admonish you to ask for help with the people who you are surrounded with. I used to be a negative Nancy, always looking at the glass half empty. Having an opportunity to be a panelist on this platform made me realize I can do anything. I thank God for waking me every day, another day, and I speak positive affirmations to myself. The glass is now half full. Thank you. Mark, give them some more nuggets that they can use.
Hi, my name is Mark Desha. Let me tell you a bit about who I am and what I do. I'm a martial artist. I am a blogger and owner of marchforglory.com. And I'm a co-founder of Hope for Ataxia, whose goal is to raise ataxia awareness around the globe. I also consider myself a lifelong learner. One thing I want to point out, though, is that I am not an expert. I am going through everything the same way you are. Sometimes I have ups and downs, and I'm not perfect by any stretch. I'm here to just share some information with you that can hopefully help you. Firstly, I want to say that although the original theme of this talk today is coping with life with ataxia, my goal today is to try and make ataxia irrelevant. Things are going to happen in our lives, good and bad, And the more we can strengthen our mind and make whatever comes by not an issue or a non-issue, the better off we'll be. Mindset is everything. I could share a bunch of exercise tactics or diet, but the bottom line is if you don't believe you can do something about it, nothing's going to change. So the first thing we want to go over is we want to define who we are in order for us to take stock of where we are and move forward. So the first thing we want to do is identify your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. In one of the attached documents, which you're going to be able to access, it'll walk you through all that and have a worksheet that you can fill out so you can determine what yours are. Next. What is your mission? Who needs your help? And what do you have to offer? Oftentimes, when we're sick or in distress, we tend to think of what other people can do for us or how they can help us. And sometimes we forget or lose track of how we can help other people and what we can contribute to the world at large. The other thing I want you to consider is what are your hopes and dreams? Sometimes when we're sick, we can get stuck in sort of a survival mode, which is very much fear based, and we lose sight of the bigger picture. Who do you define yourself as? Do you define yourself as someone with ataxia or someone with a bigger mission or a bigger purpose? Like you could define yourself as a boxer, as an athlete, as a dancer, as a musician. The choice is yours. The second thing I want you to do is focus on building your network. It's often said that your success is is dependent upon the five biggest or the five most successful or intelligent or hardworking or whatever you want to say, the five people closest to you. So what I want you to do is focus on building that core group of people around you. Get a support system of people that you can count on. Work on getting a coach, someone who believes in you so you can start to believe in yourself. And work on getting some mentors. It can be mentors who are actually physically around you, or you can find plenty of mentors on YouTube, on the web, wherever you want. You can probably even find some on Facebook. The third step is learning to scrap your ego. This is probably the hardest step, and it's going to take you a long time to do. Not that I have made any progress. I mean, every time I make a few steps forward, I find something holding me back. It's just a constant journey, something you have to work on. The ego is that little voice in your head that's telling you you may be something really great, or you may be really smart, or you may know everything. And what you've got to do is keep that in perspective and just keep learning and growing. Again, this is a lifelong pursuit, and it's nothing that's there's no end goal per se. It's just something you have to work on every day. Step number 4, letting it go. This is another step that's going to take you a long time with no end date in sight. But I want you to consciously think about letting things go. Every time something comes up that bothers you, you can just stop, breathe, unclench your fists, unclench your teeth, and just refocus and get some perspective about what's really important. Step number 5, learn to love it all. Now, I know that sounds like a challenging idea given the nature of our predicament, but there really is a lot of comfort in learning to accept reality and just going with the flow. There are going to be good things that come up and bad things that come up. What I've learned over the past couple of years is that if I'm grateful for anything, I have to be grateful for anything. There's no picking and choosing. Learn how to forgive others, and most importantly, learn how to forgive yourself. So the last thing I'll leave you with is a list of resources. I've compiled a few documents that are available to you in this session. If you click on the info tab, you can download them. You can also contact me through the session itself, or you can email me at mark@hopeforataxia.org or mark@markedforglory.com. Remember, you're stronger than you know. Good luck and Godspeed.